Today, we're cracking open a fascinating ancient text to talk about, well, the crab. And I know what you're thinking, but it turns out this sideways walking creature was once seen as a kind of walking, scuttling pharmacy.
I mean, just listen to this. This is how one ancient observer described the crab. It's kind of poetic, right? For a creature that looks so, well, alien. It just goes to show you people have been trying to figure this animal out for a very, very long time.
But, this fascination wasn't just about how weird it looked. The real question, the one at the heart of the text we're looking at, is what if this strange little animal was actually a powerful medicine cabinet? What if it held a secret to curing some really serious stuff? Well, that's exactly where we're headed. So, here's the game plan. First, we'll get into the mindset of those ancient observers. Then, we'll jump into its biggest claim to fame, as an antidote for deadly bites. After that, we'll look at remedies for skin and sight, how it was used as an internal elixir, and we'll finish up with the mysteries of its cousin, the sea crab. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Before anyone thought of the crab as medicine, they just saw it as this absolute biological marvel. And you kind of have to get your head around why it was so unique to them to understand why they'd ever think it had special healing powers. And the level of detail in this old text is just incredible. I mean, they didn't just say it has 8 legs and walks funny. No, they specifically noted that it sheds its shell 7 times a year. And get this, they described it as having 2 doors, one to the water and one to land. It's like they saw it as this creature living between 2 completely different worlds. That idea of duality, that's going to be really important. And that whole idea, this creature of 2 worlds, that leads us right into its most significant medical use. The text goes into so much detail about one cure in particular, a cure for what was basically a death sentence back then, the bite of a rabid dog. Yeah, and this was no simple fix. You have to remember, in a world without any concept of viruses, a bite like that was terrifying. It meant you were going to die, and probably horribly. So the fact that this treatment was a 40-day ordeal, that alone tells you everything. It shows how seriously they took the threat and just how much faith they put into this crab-based cure. The way they made it was so precise, it was almost like a ritual. Okay, step 1, you get live river crabs. Step 2, you put them in a red copper pot specifically. Then you seal that pot up tight and basically cook it until the crabs are nothing but ash. That ash, that was the magic ingredient. And this is where things get really interesting. It's not just medicine, it's mixed with a heavy dose of mysticism. The instructions weren't just about what to do, but when to do it. The timing had to be perfect, prepared in the summer when the sun and moon were in just the right places. We're not just talking about chemistry here, we're talking about cosmology. So once you had your cosmically aligned crab ash, the dosage was just as specific. 1 big spoonful, mixed with water, every single day for 40 days. And if you started late, you had to double the dose. But here's the kicker. The text makes this absolutely massive claim. It says that no one who followed these instructions ever died from the bite. Wow. And believe it or not, the rabies cure was just the beginning. The crab was seen as this kind of universal antidote. The text lists all these other uses. Got bitten by a scorpion? Drink some crushed crab mixed with donkey milk. A snake or a viper? You'd slap a poultice of crab flesh right on the wound. It was basically the go-to for neutralizing all kinds of nasty venoms. Okay, but we need to get something straight. The text is very clear on this point. Not all crabs are the same. For most of these cures, they're talking about the river crab. That was the heavy hitter, the most powerful one. But it does bring up its cousin, the sea crab, too. So think of it like this. The river crab is your all-purpose, broad-spectrum medicine. It handles the big stuff. The sea crab? It was considered weaker, sure, but it was more like a specialist. It had a few very specific jobs that the river crab just wasn't suited for. And we'll get to what those were in just a second. But first, back to our main character, the river crab. Its ash was apparently a big deal in ancient dermatology. They used it for everything from healing cracked skin in the winter to, get this, dissolving skin tumors. And the most incredible part comes from this little piece of ancient wordplay. See, the word for crab was saratin, which was also their word for cancer. It's this whole philosophy of like cures like. The crab, with its hard body and spindly legs, kind of looked like a tumor, so it must be the cure for it. Fascinating, right?
It wasn't all about skin creams and poultices, though. The river crab was also something you ate to heal yourself from the inside. It was way more than just a meal. It was considered a powerful health tonic.
So what did it do? Well, the text claims it boosted virility, especially if you cooked it with barley. It was also given to people with consumption, what we'd probably identify as tuberculosis today. And it was used to get certain bodily functions going again. The text is even honest about the downside. It says it's hard to digest, but so nutritious that it was worth it. A classic health food trade-off.
All right, so let's finally talk about the specialist, that weaker sea crab. It may not have been the powerhouse that the river crab was, but it had its own little corner of the market, and a very valuable one at that.
And again, the details matter. They didn't just mean any old crab from the sea. They were talking about a very specific type, a rocky sea crab. And the ash from this crab, it was considered way better for anything to do with your eyes or your teeth. So here's its specific job description. The ash from that rocky sea crab was used to heal sores on the eye, and they even thought it could sharpen your vision. And if that wasn't enough, you could also crush it up and use it as toothpaste to whiten and polish your teeth. Super specific, right? Ancient ophthalmology and dentistry, all from one crab.
But then, just when you think you've got a handle on their medical system, the text throws you a curveball. Something that sounds like it's straight out of a book of spells. It says, if you hang a crab's legs on a fruit tree, all the fruit will just fall off. It's just a great little reminder that the line between medicine, science, and straight-up magic was, well, pretty blurry. So in the end, the crab wasn't just an animal. It was seen as this powerful creature, existing between land and sea, and just full of medicinal secrets. It really makes you think, doesn't it? When you read stuff like this, you have to wonder, what other natural wonders were once seen as powerful medicine but are now just folklore? Something to think about.